Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brian Overby. I'm the Senior Options Strategist at Options Play. I'm filling in for Tony this morning. We're going to go through a couple of stocks. Markets are on the way up. Looks like we made it through October. We're into November. We had a shaky start in the marketplace. The VIX still thinks that we are a little bit shaky at this point in time. So we're going to cover a few things on this shortened holiday trading week. A few of the stocks inside the research report, and I want to highlight a couple of them. But before we get too far along here, let me always throw out the disclaimer and talk a little bit about the fact that if you're going to trade options, you should read the characteristics and risks of standardized options. We're going to be looking at some real-time stocks at this morning, and they're not meant to be recommendations. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. All right, that's my face, that's my name. Let's jump into the actual research report. Okay, so far this morning we've actually had a couple of surprising events in that we had Kohl's report earnings, and they did very well, and that's been a stock that's been struggling. And so go along with Best Buy, and had a solid earnings report this morning, and that heeds well to the consumer. We also saw that Walmart came out and had some positive things to say about the consumer. Target didn't quite do as well, and we are on the tail end of their earnings season. And I always like to just mark it by the Nvidia earnings. Nvidia came out and had real strong earnings and real strong forecast. And the stock rewarded us with a little bit of a spike up for a minute, and then before you know it, Nvidia was trading back lower again. And I do think that this is an opportunity in Nvidia, and we still have it inside the research report. It was added on November 10th. We're going to go look at Nvidia, but it's trading at a very at these numbers right now relative to their forward earnings and their guidance that was given. Nvidia is trading at a real nice multiple relative to the past and what type of multiples that it has traded at before. We also have Alibaba that's going to be announcing earnings this week, and we're going to also see Dell. And John Deere is going to be announcing this week too. So economic calendar, kind of boring. There isn't too much going on. We're going to have a shortened trading session on Friday. We have no trading on Thursday, but we're getting durable good orders on Wednesday morning. Also, the producer price data should be coming out at any point in time right now. And currently we see the futures trading pretty much flat on the day. We have the NASDAQ down a tad, and we have the S&P 500 futures up just a smidge. And then we have the VIX leaning a little bit down, but still elevated, still trading right around that 20% level. And gold is back up a little bit today. Now, one big news item that has just recently came out this morning is that Nvidia having a very solid earnings report is coming into a little bit of competition in that Meta is actually talking about spending billions of dollars on Google's AI chip, which is also in our research report. So Google has I would say almost the last 2 years has always been the stock in the Meg 7 that hasn't really received the respect that it deserves. And a big move in Google was when the government basically said, we're not going to make you get rid of Chrome. We're not going to keep pursuing our antitrust issues with the company. The stock, that was really the beginning of the move up in Google. And then recently we've seen people giving them more respect to what they're doing in the AI space. And this news this morning really makes it makes other things interesting. And the headline literally is Nvidia stock falls as Google challenges in AI chips. But I don't really see Nvidia at this point in time falling a ton right now. It's not like it's the all of a sudden Nvidia is on the back burner, but we see it down, Nvidia right now down around 4%, and I do think that that may be even an additional buying opportunity as far as Nvidia is concerned. But in the pre-market, Nvidia is down 8, trading right around 174. The market closed yesterday up a tad, so started to get some bullish momentum, trading up $3.67. Another stock that's interesting going into the holiday weekend is FedEx. FedEx has had, actually, the chart looks fairly strong in FedEx in that we saw a golden cross where the 50-day moving average turned up against the 200-day and gets all of our ducks in a row. We now see the stock price trading above the 20, above the 50, and above the 200. So we've had strong momentum in FedEx. We're heading into the holiday season. About 3 quarters ago, they came out and actually said they're going to adjust. One of the big headlines in the FedEx earnings report was they're going to get rid of some of the Amazon contract that they fought so hard for, but realized that it wasn't a very profitable contract. And I think they've made a fairly quick turnaround. At least the stock price is saying so. So the stocks that I will focus on, that I've actually highlighted inside the daily plays inside the options play platform, is Nvidia, FedEx, and Google today, i.e. known as Alphabet. Meta too actually sold off a little bit after their earnings report and their spend on AI. People are getting a little nervous about that, but that also seems to be a little bit of a dead cat bounce as far as Meta is concerned. So let's start by just taking a quick peek at what's going on in Nvidia. So we're going to scroll down to the end here. Oh, I guess one of the things that Tony mentioned and kind of brought up just recently too in some of his research is right now in the Fed Watch tool, we actually are seeing about things have changed quite a bit. There's about an 82% chance now that we will have at least a 25% rate cut. So things have changed with getting some more data, and a lot of it is on the employment front. And because of that, so the Fed's dual mandate to keep inflation in check and also keep us fully employed. The employment side I think seems to be taken over. And it is interesting because if you look down here, this is actually the CME group. This is the Fed Watch tool. This is based off of the futures, showing you 15 days from now is when the next Fed meeting is. Here is the current rate, 375 by 400, 375 by 400. This is what the projected rate is based off of the pricing in the futures, and that's a quarter of a point lower, 350 by 375. But this has jumped all over the place. 1 week ago, we had the 350 by 375. There was a 90% chance, or I'm sorry, 50% chance, where a month ago there was a 90%. Now we're back to 84%. So literally over a week, we went just from getting economic data, we went from a 50-50 chance of a rate cut now to as high as an 84% chance. And right now, the futures are saying there is an 82% chance of that happening. And that's all just based off of where the bond prices are at. So what happens if we do get that rate cut? I do think that this is one of the things that's keeping the market stable right now. And that's part of the reason why we are doing well, I guess. The markets are battling. We're staying right at the 6,700 level. The market being flat today, heading into the holidays. You don't expect a ton of movement, but then again, that the markets are what the markets are. It doesn't always do exactly what it's supposed to do over the holidays, but we'll have a shortened day on Friday, and usually that's a boring day. But recently, over the last couple of years, Thanksgiving's Day has actually been fairly active. All right, so here's Nvidia Corporation, and we do see on the chart right through this range where we're hitting a bottom. Now, it would be scary if we got down below about, and let me just kind of pull this up over here in the platform. I'm just using my cursor on in a different little chart over here to make things a little bit simpler for me to see. But if we did break down on NVIDIA below the 180, where are we going to be at? 187? About the lower end of the most recent range. And so recently, we just had the 20-day moving average cross over the 50-day moving average, which that is considered a golden cross. That's usually a good sign that momentum is moving to the upside. And I would agree with that after the earnings report that has happened. But that's not as impressive as when like a 50-day moving average crosses over above a 200-day moving average. So right now we are bouncing right on the 200-day as far as NVIDIA is concerned, right at that 82 level. But if we go down and we actually break the 180 level again, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4 touches. And every time that we come back and touch that level, it gets harder and harder for the markets to sustain it. So if we do finish below that level, it makes it a little bit nervous in NVIDIA in the short term. So my outlook would be, this is based off of, this is news based, and this is I think a knee-jerk reaction to the news about Meta looking at doing a deal with Google. And I guess that is the concept that NVIDIA has zero competition out there, which isn't necessarily the case. They obviously are in the leader in the space. But if we did end up breaking down below that level and finishing where we're at right here in the pre-market, well, the pre-market, where is the pre-market right now? Yes, the pre-market's at 174. Right now. So we're below this 178 level. If that does end up happening, and this was from a while back. This isn't today's charts. Market was at 182, so it closed yesterday at 182.55. That could be that makes NVIDIA look a little scary actually right now for the short term. But I like it as a buying opportunity. One of the things that I've looked at recently in NVIDIA is potentially, based off of the fact that we're still trading at a forward PE that's below the actual industry in the semiconductor space, the biggest company in the world, in the market right now, and it's trading at 24 times earnings, and the industry's at 26 times earnings. It's significantly undervalued as far as the research is concerned. If we do get that breakout, I wouldn't, at this point, I would wait a little bit, see where we close at the end of the day. We could actually, to me, this is interesting to see. The last area of kind of congested trading and consolidation is right around, well, actually we're below that too, potentially. Let's see where we end up at the end of the. NVIDIA is an interesting story right now. Probably the biggest news in the market. The fact that we're down around 175 is an area where the stock gets really interesting. The lowest that it's been was back at, just looking at the chart real quick, like, is 1121. We came all the way down and touched 172.99, and we're trading at 173.90 in the pre-market right now. So even though forecasts and everything are amazing, after looking at what we've seen, we came down to 170. Doing a real quick kind of technical look at the market, that was the period of consolidation is right here, right in the 171, 172 range. We have one candle that came down to about 168. That's kind of the lowest that we've seen from back in September. But yeah, we're trading right here, right at the 175 level. Interesting level to be. I don't. Things will play out. Nvidia always seems to be resilient. The market has a tendency to beat up news and overreact, and but part of it is they, as far as Nvidia is concerned, the last, gosh, I'll say 2 years worth of earnings, they beat on top and bottom line, but it's never even about the actual forecasts because everybody is assuming they beat, so it's all about the whisper numbers. And this time around in the quarterly, they even blew away the whisper numbers and said everything was strong. So the fact that that Meta is in negotiations with Google to talk about an AI chip, and now the stock we see down 5% in the pre-market. Yeah, I think that's going to be an opportunity. Looking still at this forward PE ratio. All right, I guess I'm a little bit surprised to see it down as much as it is. And then the other stock that I wanted to look at is FedEx. Real strong movement to the upside. We see, and if you have any questions, please do feel free to put them in the Q&A box. I am keeping my eye on them. I do have my box open up and available, so let me know. But FedEx has had very strong momentum throughout, and like I said, the company, this is a long period of consolidation. Finally had to break out right here at the 250 level. Now we got a strong move to the upside. I think FedEx heading into the end of the year looks like a good, solid underlying the trade, trading at a mere 14 PE, keeping up with as far as the industry is concerned, same type of growth, same type of revenue, decent on the net margins, kind of a turnaround story, trading at 14 times earnings. I don't see any reason why they can't get back to that 18 times earnings level. All right, Google. So Google, let's see where Google's at right now. Or Alphabet. GOGL. We always like to look at the underlying that has the voting shares. So I always like to add the L on the end. So Google right now is up 4%. So everything that Nvidia has given back in Google is taking. So Google right now is up 1291 and it's up 4%. Google, once again, didn't get the respect it deserved. It's finally starting to get some respect. It's still trading at, interesting enough, just above Nvidia's earnings on the forward PE ratio. So this is I'm trying to think the last time that I looked at a forward PE on Alphabet and had it actually trading at a higher level than in Nvidia, which to me I think is just a good sign. It's a good sign. The people are thinking that some of their trials and tribulations are in the rearview mirror, and Google is a very solid underlying to look to trade. We do the chart is a little bit parabolic in that we've recently had a strong move to the upside. This is right around earnings in this area right through here, and it still looks really good. We're still trading above the 200, trading above the 50, trading above the 20-day, a little bit extended on the 200, a little bit overextended on the RSI and on the momentum. But obviously this is news driven to drive it up to another new level, which when it's been consolidating around the 300 level. And right now, this would be a clear breakout if we break out above the 318 level and looking like it's going towards new highs. So if I were to do anything with Google, I would probably I'd want to do something like where we're selling some of the premium, and you see all the momentum, all the green here from just solid momentum going all the way back to July of this year. Only a few blips in the bullish sentiment inside the options play platform on a short term and on a long term basis across the board. All right, FedEx. What? Oh, and I did want to mention on Super Micro, MCHP. That stock has been removed from the bearish list this week, and it's mainly because it's actually hit the microchip technology. It actually hit the downside. It's now bumped up against the 51 level, and that was the target. So that underlying is being removed. Going into the end of the year, I think things are just, especially when we see that the Fed Watch tool has now jumped from a 50% chance down to an 80% chance, leaning to the positive. Micron Technology actually had a trend reversal sign in that the market, it has done very well since it's been added to the research list, and we had a little bit of a pullback now, but which might create an opportunity on the upside as far as Micron is concerned. And I think, let's look at Meta. Let's check out Meta, and we'll leave it there for today. Yeah, and Meta actually received recently the same type of thing. Same type of alert that we received on Micron is something that has recently happened kind of in Meta, where the underlying stock, Meta's really gotten beaten up for its AI spend, and it looks like they're even looking to spend more with this negotiation on Google. So Meta stock is probably getting beat up this morning right now. Oh, Meta is actually up today. Well, it's up. It's not as much, but it's up about 1.8% on the day. Obviously, a huge downturn. So Meta now is trading below all three of its moving averages. It's trading below the 50, the 20, and the 200 day. Came all the way down to the 582 level. It's trading at 624 in the pre-market, up $11 at this point in time. But the PE ratio has shown it. Expect more volatility in Meta until things shake out as far as their accounting practices are concerned and how they're trying to hide some of this debt on this AI spend. They've proven before that they've made a big spend and that it's paid out, but how are they going to start capturing some of their revenues on their massive amount of eyes and viewers that they have on their platform? And how is AI going to pay it out? Until they start showing that type of payback, Meta is going to be a very volatile stock. But is this the time? Is this the time to be bottom fishing? Is this the time to be looking for an area of consolidation if you truly believe this is the biggest probably AI speculation event? You know, Meta has always been very in the forefront as far as taking on new technology to see if it can make their ad revenue grow. And that's once we start getting some clarity behind how AI can help drive some of their ad revenue. I think Meta right now is just throwing everything against the wall, trying to get set up for that potential opportunity, and it does have solid potential, trading at a 20 times earnings ratio relative to the industry average of 25 times earnings. Still extremely good net margins. It's still an extremely well-run company across the board. Okay. Last time you mentioned a short-term options preference, Metals company. It went well for me. Martin, Martin is asking about a different short-term company trade. So in other words, you're looking for some. I actually in the market right now did do a 0 DTE trade yesterday in the S&P 500 index. I don't mind doing a zero DTE trade again, just going into the holiday. And one of the trades, I don't think I would necessarily lean into the metal side of things, Martin. Uh, gold is up today. Gold isn't, and gold actually is a decent underlying. Uh, but markets are solid. Let's and gold has many different expirations to choose from in gold. That's not a bad one to lean into if you want to do a shorter term trade heading into the holidays. Gold shares. So gold right now is trading right on the 20-day moving average. It seems to be in a period of consolidation. We still got the 200-day moving up and the 20-day moving up. And we're up a little bit on the day today. I don't, you know, what, Martin, what type of trade did we do? Did we do a butterfly trade? Did we get fancy with it? Or did we just do a long call spread? And then we'll call it a day here. But I don't mind if the market can build some momentum. I don't like where the market is at right now. It's just flat on the day, so I don't usually like to do uh, zero DTE SPX trades until you see the market building momentum one way or the other, and then I always lean to that direction, and that's what we did yesterday, and that trade worked out. That's, I guess, why I'm mentioning it, because it did work out. Let's look at. I'm going to take a quick peek at where the actual futures price of gold is. Yeah, that's up 1% right now. So anything that we look at is going to be a little bit off as far as the strategy is concerned. And I always got to emphasize that these aren't meant to be recommendations. Just so you know. So just so you know, give you some ideas, but it's not meant to be a recommendation because we don't have the due diligence. Okay, so Martin is sharing with us. I just took some 2 to 3 week out calls from what I recall. I think we were going into earnings and sold off, as I noticed with options that it many times makes its move in the pre-market, not allowing exit when the option market opens. Okay. Uh, I don't mind. I'll leave it at this. I'll leave it at this. If I were to look into the metals, considering where the market is at right now, I don't mind the chart on gold. I don't mind where gold is at, a little bit of a period of consolidation, and wouldn't mind a short-term trade on gold. Uh, the mining company that has is out, well, Newmont Mining came out recently, and that was actually part of Tony's research report not that long ago, and had a really good earnings report, which would make sense, right? Because all of the metals, everything that they're mining for, is at all-time highs. But the stock actually sold off mainly because they said they're just not pulling out of the ground, and in particular, gold. They weren't meeting their projections as far as the amount of gold that they could pull out of the ground. So because of that, they set highs as far as they beat on both the top and bottom line on their earnings report, but the stock actually ended up selling off. So that is an interesting underlying. If they can turn that around and looking at their gold production, I don't necessarily know why that would be, per se, what they would do to make it turn around. But I do think the sell-off is interesting in Newmont Mining heading into the next quarter and seeing what type of comments they are. still have gold trading, very close to all-time highs, and it's consolidating in that period. I guess we'll leave it right there. Any other questions that we have? Have one more with thanks for taking some time to respond. I appreciate that, Martin. Thank you very much for the nice comments. Well, I'll be blunt about, and Martin's made some nice comments, and I do appreciate those comments. I'll be blunt in that I'm surprised to see this sell off right now. I do feel like it's a knee jerk reaction in Nvidia, but as far as the technicals are concerned, it's concerning in Nvidia. Where the actual technicals are at, mainly because okay, so uh, the bottom area 164 is where Nvidia, there was a strong climb to the 164 area, and we have the 200-day moving average is down around 152. If we break the 160, well, I mean, even 172, yeah, and now it's bounced a little bit. The 172 area is where it came down to in the pre-market, and that's where there is a lot of noise in Nvidia. It's going to be a tough area to break through, but if it did break through that, then you got a couple of little touches down around 164, and then I think the next stopping point is the 200-day moving average. We're far from that, and like I said, this is pre-market, so you can't always trust it, but surprised to see the sell-off. I mean, yeah, a short-term trade in Nvidia today to see if the market opens at 170, if it holds we'll call it 173, 172.98. If it holds that area, that might be a interesting short-term pop going into the holiday weekend. Let's just leave it there, because I do think it's a little bit overdone. It's one order for an AI chip in the Google space, and people are thinking Google's going to take over Nvidia right now. At least that's the reaction, the initial reaction. Alphabet. I should use the proper term. I'm old school, so I still like to call it Nvidia. All right, everyone. Well, have a great holiday weekend. Shortened day on Friday. No trading on Thursday. And we'll be back on Tuesday next week with another edition of Options Play. Well, there's my little slide. There we go. Options Play Research Report Trade Ideas. Thanks for stopping in, and we'll see you next Tuesday.